to infinity and beyond.
What's up, everybody? It's Roger and James here from Infinity and Beyond podcast, presented by DisKingdom.com and DisKingdom.com. In this episode, we're going to be talking about Marvel Heroes Omega and the big change that came out was announced over the weekend for changes to their loot box or loot crate system, where they're going to be including all of, basically going to be moving all the costumes over to this system, which is going to be taking effect from June 30th, which is when the game launches on Xbox One and officially kind of becomes just a game on PlayStation 4. As you'd expect, reactions to this was very, very strong. I'm just trying to keep up with the forum and Reddit and the Facebook groups and Twitter and stuff. Saw a few different comments and stuff from some of the developers working on the game. So I'm just going to give you guys a little bit of information first off before we go any further on to this one. So the reason for it was you're going to get essence and stuff for it, but players will also be able to earn them at when you reach level 5, 12, 15 and 30, and there'll be one box for every level 60 as well. So you will be able to earn them through grinding through those characters, which is good. If you've just picked the character up, that does mean you get 4 or 5 of them as you're going through. You might be able to get some extra costumes and stuff. And the more characters you've got, the more you'll be able to pick up some. So there is a way of earning them as well, which I think, but that was something they had to add after they'd announced it, because I can't, they did, and I will say this, it did feel a little bit like dumping the news out on a weekend. Almost felt like they wanted to get this information out and didn't really know how to do it. I do wish when they put these announcements out, they put all the information in, rather than having all the developers having to chip in afterwards on the forum, kind of easing what's been going on. If they put that information in the release, it probably wouldn't have been so bad. Because as the information come out, I felt it was, as they explained it more and more, it made more. You could understand it. If they'd included that in the initial announcement, it still would have gone down badly. But it's one thing I've seen a few times with them, is like, if they could get that information out a little bit better. The costumes are going to be rotating every 3 months. They've also got other rarity table things in there. But yeah, so what did you think of this?
Well, I mean, as you alluded to, the initial announcement was terrible. It was just, all costumes are now going to be in loot crates. You cannot buy costumes a la carte, period. And when they announced that, just literally like that, there was no qualifiers on it. It was just like, you've got to be kidding me, because there is no way in heck I am paying money for a random costume, which might even be a character I don't have. Because
I hope they work out a way of getting.
They're not going to. No. There is no reason for them to fix that. It's been that way on the PC since the beginning. I don't see them changing on the PlayStation. This is how loot crates work.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you could get a Spider-Man costume and not have Spider-Man. And obviously they would prefer it that way, because now you're going, oh, I've got a Spider-Man costume. I wish I could use the Spider-Man costume.
I'll buy
so now you're going to spend exactly. And then, I was ready to just be like, I'm done with this game, because you guys just keep screwing around with it. And this isn't the first major change they've made that's been negative. But then they came out and like, okay, we're doing this for this reason. We've determined from sales data that we just can't maintain the sales model of selling the costumes a la carte, which is a very interesting commentary on the state of the market right now, which we'll come back to in a moment. And then stating, oh, there are ways to get these for free in the game simply by grinding, and we will retroactively give these to anybody who have accomplished these feats already, which is good. So that helps soften the blow. But honestly, I'm still just like, I'm not giving you money when I don't know what I'm getting back. I mean, this is something I have been saying on this podcast pretty much since I joined you on it, and it's been like, I will not give you money for RNG unless there is literally every single item in this box or whatever I would be happy with getting for the price you're paying for it. But I don't think I've ever encountered that.
No.
I might do it at the Disney parks itself to get like I'll get some of those like mystery pin packs or whatever, because I know I can trade the pins for something I might actually want. So even if I get something I don't want, I can trade it away. But there's no trading in this game,
No.
at least in the PlayStation 4 version. If I get a costume I don't even want, whether or not it's a character I have, I'm stuck with that costume. I can't give it to somebody else and be like, oh, well, you've got a Star-Lord costume and I've got a Spider-Man costume. Let's trade.
I think if you get duplicates, you do get a new current. They've added another currency where you can. Each time you get a loot box, you get a certain amount of this realm essence or something. Yeah. And you can buy costumes with essence once you've got enough of it. So if you got a duplicate one, you'd get equivalent essence to be able to go buy. So they've kind of, you can go sell some character. You can go and do it with them. But as far as the whole mystery thing of it going, my reaction to this was a bit like, okay, because I'm not a costume guy. I wouldn't buy a costume. I know whenever they throw them, if they throw them in with when you buy a pack, and you buy the character and you get the costumes, that's cool. I like that. I'll jump around a little bit, but I would never go and spend money on a costume because it's. I've said on many occasions as well. Look at a character. I want the generic character. You design it, and that's the character I want. I never want to make any customizations. I've got no interest in looking different in the thing of it. Just whatever the character is. I'd rather spend money on another character than on a costume. However, the trouble is as well is again, the social media and especially the forums and stuff can be a little bit of a bubble.
Absolutely.
An echo chamber, similar to what we see with politics now of, everyone in that zone. And the trouble is as well is this whole thing, I think, with the PC market. The PC market at this precise minute, or the fans, there's such an anti-console mode, and any changes to the game, because this will sweep through onto the PC mode. This will follow when they upgrade it. And this whole thing about people.
I wouldn't call it an upgrade.
Well, it's not necessarily an upgrade, but the simple thing is they've pretty much come out and said the current system is unsustainable. We can't make any money out of this.
Oh, yeah.
And they're pretty much saying, if we don't make this change, the game is gone regardless. So if you've put $22,000 into it and 150,000 hours into this game without spending any money, or you've done all that, but the servers aren't around, you've lost it anyway. But this change has to come in, and as we've alluded to, this is a change coming across gaming as a whole. My reaction to this as a thing was, great, fine, I'll have the freebies. I don't want... The thing is, what I think they are doing, they are going to be doing special loot boxes for themes. So like Spider-Man, there will be like a Spider-Man Homecoming or a Spider-Man box with chances of getting those things. Now, if I did want the Spider-Man Homecoming outfit, I would probably just prefer to buy it. But if there's a special box for that one there, I might be more tempted. But I'm not a gambler where I went to Las Vegas, put $1 into a vending machine, won $2, and I cashed out. That was my entire day. I'm not a gambler, so it doesn't. I'm like you. I would not spend money on loot boxes, but they are becoming a bigger and bigger thing. If I get them in the freebies, great. And if I've got all the characters and I'm leveling through, I'm going to get quite a few loot boxes, so I'm probably going to likely to get them. But it's a real shame. It's a shame, really. But I think it's about the whole genre, this whole issue with mystery boxes. As you alluded to about buying mystery boxes, I had a problem for a while with buying Vinylmation, and mystery mini things like this that just came in yesterday. Where you buy a mystery box.
What is that?
That's a Spider-Man Homecoming.
No, I know it's Spider-Man, but yeah. I mean, like, what is the product called? It's a
Funko Mystery Mini, right?
Of course, it's a Funko.
So it's that thing as well of, you buy these mystery boxes and you don't know what's in them, and they become very popular. They've also become very profitable. Companies all over the place are doing it. However, there is a side effect of any kind of mystery box if you can get duplicates. And if the run of duplicates and things if the chance of getting what you want isn't as good and you just start getting rubbish, you are not going to keep spending money on them. So they have to make sure that those boxes have got something good in. So it's going to be interesting. You could also look at it the other way of going, okay, I like this game. I'm gonna spend $5 a month or $5 a week buying a loot. I'll buy one loot crate a week, or I'll buy a pack of 10 or a pack of 5 every month or something like that because I enjoy the game. You know, and you want to fund the game and you're just doing it. So there's that way of looking at it. I think the trouble is with console players is you're coming in from this point of view. They'd rather just pay the $60 and got the game and not have had some of this stuff because they're accustomed to buying the game, but it's a free-to-play game and they're going to find the right way of funding it. And this change, had they just changed it straight away, maybe they just did that experiment with the PlayStation 4 with the boxes to see what was going on and where they were making their money. You know, they've probably been analysing what what people have been doing on the PlayStation 4, literally probably with a fine-tooth comb, just like literally wading through the data, trying to work out where they're making the money, what's working, and they're adapting to what they're seeing from customers at the end of the day.
I mean, and this isn't new to the console version of the game either. We've had loot crates in the PC version. They just called them cards instead. Yeah. So that you had fortune cards, and so they've been doing this since the beginning. There have been exclusive team-ups, exclusive costumes that have been in these cards. There was X-Men themed cards. There were Fantastic Four themed cards, Avengers Ultron when that came out, and so on. So this is hardly new. Obviously, the big change is doing away completely with being able to buy costumes a la carte. And I did want to mention, I'm generally not the kind of gamer who's like, oh, I have to get costumes as well. Yeah. But for a few specific favorite characters, I'll probably drop the money both as support for the company and also, just to kind of change it up, because after you've been playing with a character for, 50 hours, you kind of like, I wouldn't mind seeing the character slightly different. But as you kind of alluded to, part of the problem with them doing it a la carte was the prices on their costumes were bloody crazy. Yeah. I mean, they were more expensive than the heroes were. Yeah. And in most cases, you didn't get anything for it. Yeah, just a different vision.
I always worried. Well, it was that thing of like 1,200 G's for a costume. I'm like, but to me, a costume didn't have that value. So I think with these loot boxes, they are creeping into pretty much every single game. We're playing Disney Emoji Blitz, we're playing Disney Magic Kingdoms. You get the little boxes, of which you get a load of rubbish out of them. I'm even playing Horizon Zero Dawn, and every time you find a new vendor, you get given a mystery box, and you can buy mystery boxes, not in real cash, but even in a game where it's set in the future and I'm battling robots, there's mystery boxes. Overwatch is probably one of the most well-known versions of doing these boxes. Also, I believe Star Wars Battlefront 2 is going to be doing this kind of system. Call of Duty do it. This is becoming the new way of funding it, and it is gambling. It is gambling, and they're hiding content away. And unfortunately, it's working, and I think that's the trouble. It's working, and people are buying into this. And gaming, as I said, didn't even Injustice 2 have a system as well for this?
It does have a system, but they give you loot crates in Injustice so frequently that I can't imagine buying it unless you absolutely have to get an item.
But I suspect the mobile version will probably have much more, because we've invested the $60 in the game, so there might be a bit of a difference.
Well, the mobile version has it as well, and you can use gems to purchase the loot crates in that. The heroes, it's only 250 gems to get like the guaranteed you will get a hero. It might be a copy of a hero you already have, but you're guaranteed to get it. 250 gems is only 3 or 4 days worth of playing time, and that's casual playing. That's logging in once a day to update your operations or whatever. But yeah, it's this current theory of gaming where most people will not spend money on loot crates. No. 90 to 95% of the gamers will not spend money on loot crates. Or if they do, they'll only buy like 1 or 2 just because, oh, cool, here, have $5. Oh, I didn't get anything, but that's too bad. And then it's that 5%. The 5% that we would refer to for in the mobile market as whales. I don't know if we use that term in the console market as well, but they subsidize the game for the rest of us. And, more power to them. If they're willing to drop hundreds or thousands of dollars on these loot crates, then thank you, because you're the reason that Battlefront 2 is going to have free map packs. You're the reason that Halo has free map packs. Call of Duty is going to milk you with both the loot crates and the map packs. So, whatever. But
it's definitely, the thing is, I think the way it's become a trend. I mean, there was a story I recently broke that in China, for example, video games have to display the ratios or something like that before people buy them, because the Chinese government view them very much as gambling, and that they are a problem. And this problem isn't going to be going away. And the only way it's going to happen is basically if there's a major revolt, and it might be 2-3 years before that happens, or it could go the exact opposite way. This could be the way that everyone just gets used to. You get your games for free, but you all get these kind of loot crate systems where, as everything turns over to services, they make more money. Star Wars Battlefront is a prime example of, they tried the season pass where you paid $40 for it. People didn't like it. But people bought it. I mean, I bought it. I thought it was worth it. But it segregated the audience. This year, the season pass is gone. But there's going to be all the cosmetic stuff is all going to be locked away behind. You know they're going to be locked away behind this because they've got to fund the game. Because essentially the game probably should cost $200 if they didn't have all this stuff in. It's like Marvel Heroes Omega. They could have released this as a $100 premium product with all the games, all the characters, and keep adding new content in on DLC. But you could get someone that does, that throws in $5, $5 a week, or 20, $10 a month. But over the year, they spent $120, so it does run up in the long run. But they, like I said, the thing is as well is sometimes as a customer, and I find this with being a business owner myself, sometimes you go through and you look at your data and you see what's selling and what isn't. And sometimes what people perceive as being a bestseller or a long-term running bestseller has becoming less and less popular over time. And suddenly a change gets made, and people will be like, well, why has this changed? I always thought this was the way it made money, but they will be looking at that data and going, we need to make a change. I think doing it for the launch of the Xbox One, if you got any players coming in on the Xbox One version, they've never known any different, so they've got no reason to complain. PlayStation 4 has been in beta, so things change. I do think is that kind of situation of, if you want those costumes, you need to go buy them now before they disappear off the store. But generally, this is going to be happening more and more. I'm not a fan of it. I don't like it, and I'm probably, in all honesty, in any game, and I'll be honest, any game, this is not something I am going to be that interested in. I get bombarded with the mobile games asking me to buy loot boxes and stuff, and I just don't do it. I don't get the thrill from it, so therefore it doesn't work on me.
Right, and that's the thing is, if you've got the gambling mentality or the addiction, if you get to the extremes, then yeah, this is going to appeal to you. Whether or not it should is a different matter entirely. Whether or not you need to seek help if it is an addiction is a different thing.
Yeah,
but
unfortunately, I do know a few people that have had major issues from gambling, and it has caused major problems. And luckily, I don't have that kind of thing about it. I'm very much along the lines of, this is what I got in my pocket. I'm not front. But, and as someone that went a little bit nuts on the animations and stuff, it's very, very easy to. And in some ways, it is a difficult thing. If you can keep it in check, this is great, but it could lead to some major problems. Ultimately, at least with a game, there's probably going to be a maximum limit of what you can spend, because you're going to hit a point, if you've got unlocked all the costumes, that's going to be the end, kind of going to be the end of how much more you can do. But the gambling can be a major problem, and I don't particularly like it sweeping into video games the way it is. Unfortunately, until there is a backlash and people stop doing it, maybe it's that situation of, in a year or two, people start looking back and going, I've spent a fortune on, when they start their credit card statements start getting added up, and people start getting into problems and think, you know, it would not surprise me if in I've seen it on stories on the news of, you know, the kid that's was buying, I think, FIFA cards online to get, and, you know, they racked up a grand bill for their parents, you know, because it was linked to them. You know, these are the stories that are going to, and in 2 years' time, this entire mystery box system could be completely backfire and go backwards, or it could just become the future.
I think it's really going to depend on how they implement the system. So if you have a system like we ultimately are getting here with Marvel Heroes Omega, which is you have the choice of buying the loot box with money, or you have ways of actually accumulating them in-game, not easily, but if you put the time and the effort into it, you can get the loot boxes, then I think people are going to be more willing to accept that, because, you know, you have this mentality that I can get it one way or I can get it another way faster, but it costs me a little bit of money. It's when things are exclusively in the paid content, but you have no guarantee of getting that content, that the problem really shows up. And for instance, I would talk about, say, going back to one of my favorite pet peeves, Marvel Avengers Academy on the mobile market, is they have the premium crates, and there is no way to get these crates doing in-game events, and you end up having to pay money for it, and the item that you want, you know, the character, the costume, or whatever, ends up being like the 2% probability, so you end up having to buy every single item in the crate before you finally get the... And that's why China and Japan and these companies have, you know, you have to show what's the percentage. This is what happened with Fire Emblem, the mobile version, obviously, not the 3DS game, but
yeah, I think this whole market is storing up problems for the future, and there is going to be a point where they will have to adjust. The thing is that the trouble with gaming is they're all trying to find the way of finding the right kind of financing system, and I think this is the issue for it. But then I look at something like Marvel Contest of Champions, which hide all their characters behind this like loot box kind of, you know, grab this gem and you can unlock a character. And it actually has the exact opposite effect on me, because, you know, say they go, okay, Carnage is out this month. Great, okay, I want to play as Carnage. Oh, it's behind these... By me having every single game just getting duplicates, it completely does the exact opposite thing of me going, I just want to play as Carnage. Can I just buy him? Can I just skip all this rubbish? You can't even do it. You have to go through this mystery book. And that's why it's probably one of the most profitable mobile games on the market, because they literally lock everything behind a mystery. You know, yeah, you can earn them. But for me, it was the exact opposite. But then again, the trouble is, for every person that might object to it and doesn't do it, it's the person that is paying for it. You know, that person that goes, I need Carnage, just spend money, I'll get it. Spend.
Right. I mean, I remember seeing this on the Disney Emoji Blitz, where I would read messages from people being like, which character should I try to unlock? I'm like, you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
You know, you're getting whatever character they give to you. It's like, no, I'll just keep getting them until I get the character. Which character should I go for? I'm like, yeah, that you need to work on your money management, or you need to give me some of your money because you just have too much of it.
I mean, you know, it's a bit like, for example, you know, like, I mean, it's that situation that this new content is way of doing it, and working out the way of funding it is difficult. Microtransactions, paid DLC. There's been a backlash against this content since it come in, but it ain't going anywhere. You know, you saw at E3, companies are still looking at turning games into services, which we're going to talk about in another episode. But this whole thing of these loot boxes, they are a danger, and I am very much aware that this could be a massive problem that the game industry is storing up, that could completely turn and be nasty. And it will be literally a sweeping thing of like, we need these out of our games in a few years' time, or alternatively, we could just be going to the bookies and playing games next, because that's everything is just going to become more and more gambling. I think people are going to go against it, but the free-to-play model that Marvel Heroes has means that they have to fund the game in another way. You know, if you've just gone out and bought it for $60, they would have had that $60 and there would have been that investment. They still would have added the DLC, but yeah, I mean, I personally felt like with Marvel Heroes Omega, that Founders Pack system of pay $10 or $15 and get the game like that, you know, Rocket League kind of thing, they should have done that. They should probably have gone down that whole line, I feel, to begin with anyway, but, you know, because free-to-play on consoles is different to PC. I think console owners would have accepted that, and if you'd given them 10, 15 characters at the beginning in the story, I think people would have been happy with that, but this, you know, that's just the way the game went.
Yeah, and I actually had that complaint about Marvel Heroes all the way back when it first launched on PC. I was like, you want me to pay how much for a single character? And they're like, oh yeah, $200, you can get every character. I'm like, or I can pay $60 and have an entire game with every character unlocked, or I can go, at the time at least, be like, I can spend $20 and get Marvel Ultimate Alliance. It's the same game, but I have all the characters unlocked except for like 8 that are DLC.
It's a very fine line, and they have got to find it. The thing is, I mean, for me, these boxes, they will just be something I just probably... It's almost that kind of, you know, like the adverts on a website where you gloss past and you get ad eyes where you can't see them anymore. Yeah, for me, I'll just whiz past them, and then I see my dad trying to read a website where he's literally, I'm going, well, click on that link, and he's still reading the advert on the top and going down all the good, you know, where I've skimmed the lot. Loot boxes are going to be really good, or they're going to be dreadful. It's very hard to be like, yay, because I will not buy them. But I probably wouldn't have brought the costumes anyway, so it probably actually improves my chances of getting, because I'm going to get them through earning them.
Right. You just won't get a choice of which ones you're getting.
Yeah. It does, you know, I mean, I know they did this with the Guardians of the Galaxy with the Fortune cards recently. You know, it has the exact opposite effect on me. It just makes me, it is, like I said, you know, the one thing if they go down doing the heroes this system, whew, crikey, that's going to be a nightmare.
If they do it with heroes, regardless of whether or not you can get the loot crates just by playing the game, I think I'm done. Because when you start locking actual playable content behind these, I think that's a line too far. But there are plenty of gamers who will just be like, well, all right, guess I'm buying 50 loot boxes. Like, well,
there's a discount. It's 10% off. But on that note, we would love to know what you guys think of mystery boxes in gaming, and also with this Marvel Heroes. We knew that it was going to be a little bit of a longer episode, this one, because the whole concept of loot boxes is something that we were going to be bringing up as a topic anyway recently. But it just happened to be that this weekend, kind of probably the game that we play a lot of. If I wasn't playing a lot of Horizon Zero Dawn this week, I would have been playing a bit more of it. Just trying to get that story mode out the way. But it's definitely a controversial subject, and I think it's going to be something we're going to be continuing to speak about a lot more. But I'd love to know your thoughts on this. As per usual, you can hit that subscribe button to keep up with the latest from us. You can also listen to the audio version. Check us out over at DisKingdom.com. We also have a giveaway where we're giving away Cars Free, Driven to Win on Xbox One, PlayStation 4, or Nintendo Switch, and depending on whichever platform the winner gets to choose. James, where can they find you?
You can find me at heroiclegacy.com.
And on that, guys, thank you very much for watching. See you guys soon. Later.